All right, you guys. My name is Lisa. Welcome to another Wellness Wednesday. I love these calls because we get to hear about real people, about their real lives and their real situations. I have been doing Plexus for 7 years, and y'all, I don't do dumb stuff for 7 years in a row. Okay, so this is legit. This is the real deal. I'm so excited to have some friends on here with me. They're going to share their story. We are going to start with Sweet Kelly. If you don't know Kelly, you need to. You need to hear her story. You need to hear where she comes from. She doesn't do dumb stuff for all these years either. So I'm going to turn over to Kelly, and she's going to introduce her friends who are going to be our guest speakers tonight.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, I am really excited about this call because this is right in my wheelhouse. And this is in my friends that are joining me tonight, obviously in our wheelhouse too. So you're here, if you're watching this, even if you're watching the recording, we're talking about baseball. Okay, so what does baseball have to do with Plexus? The gist here is the fact that you can build this business from anywhere. Um, Sarah and Keisha, who you're going to hear from in just a second, we met through professional baseball. Our husbands played pro ball together. We have been friends for all these years. Like, gosh, I don't even know. Maybe it's like 9, 10 years almost, which is bizarre. But Sarah and I have been in this business a little bit longer. Keisha's brand new, but has exploded from the ground up. We've built this business from places like the ball field. And that's what we're here to talk to you about quickly tonight, is just to tell you that this business is doable from anywhere. Your car, the ball field, anywhere. Like, it is, this business exists to work around your life. And we're here just as living proof of that. So I want to start by telling you a little bit about my story, and then we're going to get into my friends' stories as well. So like you heard, my name is Kelly. I'm an Emerald ambassador with Plexus. I have been with Plexus for 6 years. And Lisa hit the nail on the head when she told you that I would not do dumb stuff. I am a super skeptic by nature. I am an attorney, thus I question everything. All right. I started with Plexus. I hit order my first time thinking there's no way in heck this is ever going to work, but it was a last resort for me. I had just had my first baby. I was suffering from postpartum depression and anxiety, and I'd been written a prescription by my doctor the very day that I ordered Plexus for some medicine. And I always say this: I am not anti-medicine. I want y'all to hear my heart on that. Like, I am, medicine can save lives. I am not anti-medicine. The particular prescriptions that were written for me, I had a family member who suffered with addiction with those particular prescriptions. And so I was naturally scared of that. And I remember calling my husband. My husband was still playing professional baseball at the time. And I told him, I said, I'm really struggling here. I have this prescription, but I think I want to order these products. I'd watched my friends from college post about Plexus for years. All right. I laughed, I judged, I did all of the things in my own mind. I thought all of these people have fallen off the wagon and bumped their heads. They've lost their minds. An alien has taken over their computers. All right. But I watched because they were using keywords like gut health and things that were really interesting to me, because I'm a big believer in holistic healthcare. So I paid attention, even though I was very skeptical. And he was like, go ahead and order them. They're probably not going to work. Just go ahead and get the prescription filled, because that's probably not going to work. And it's probably going to be a waste of money. So I hit order. Well, within just a few weeks, my life changed for the better. I just remember the fog lifting, the anxiety getting better, and I became an instant believer. Now, at the time, I was practicing law. I was working 60, 80-hour weeks, unless I was in trial, which could be upwards 80, 100 hours. I did not sleep. I worked so much, and I traveled all over the state of Alabama. My husband was gone because he was in professional baseball. And we had this brand new baby at home. So she was going to daycare, 7 a.m. My mother would pick her up because I couldn't get home in time to pick her up. And I had caught the vision because I really just believed in these products for what they did for my personal health. And I just remember thinking, like, I wasn't looking for a business. I was looking for an answer for my health. But I'm the kind of person that if I find something that works or something that I love, a movie, a restaurant, like whatever it is, I'm going to tell people about it. I like to share. and I like people. So I just started telling people about this thing that had just changed my life, because this was my first baby that I had dreamed of. We had gone through infertility, and I had dreamed about being a mama. And so like, I was really distraught when I suffered from postpartum anxiety and depression, because I just wasn't the mom that I had dreamed of being for all these years. And these products helped me be that mom. And this was the reason I started sharing, because I was like, everyone needs to experience this. Everyone needs to know about these products. So it's not that I was looking to create a business. I did not have time. For those of y'all that understand baseball, and especially professional baseball, I was a baseball season single mom, which shout out to the real single mamas out there. It is, I mean, true mad respect for them. Cause I was struggling just to do it my 9 months a year. So, I mean, I was living that life. I was working those hours. I wasn't looking for another business. I wasn't looking for another income. I thought we were doing okay, even though we were drowning in debt. I really didn't know there was better life out there. But because I started sharing with people that I loved, with products that I loved, my life changed. And within a year of working this business and catching that vision, I was able to quit my job, which means I was able to travel with my husband, who was typically gone every year for 9 months, like I said. And when I say 9 months, he left in January, February, and was gone until October. Okay. He was gone. He didn't come up for weddings or funerals. This meant that me and that my baby no longer had to have a relationship with my husband over FaceTime. We got to actually go live with him. And I did that working 60 to 80 hour weeks, or working 80 hours a week with my job. I got to do that working from my phone, sharing products that I loved with people that I loved. And all of a sudden, 1 year, I was making with Plexus what I would have had to work another 10 years with my job to make, which is incredible. And I'm still doing that 5 years later. And I'm able to do that with so many people that I adore, which leads me to these two ladies that are here with us tonight. And let me tell you a little backstory here before we get into their stories. Our husbands all played together. Sarah and Keisha, our husbands played together all these years ago, and we've maintained relationships. And now they're on my team, growing their own businesses, which is just amazing. Like, you think about how life comes full circle. They have their different stories that we're going to get into, but how they've grown this business from the ball field, with crazy lives, with crazy hours, with husbands that don't do the traditional jobs. And we are just here as testimony as to what this can do for anybody. If you have a dream of making $200 a month, $500 a month, which is crazy. Like, when you think about when we hit COVID, a study came out that told us that the number that stood between most American families in bankruptcy was $500. $500. So this business, whether it is like you're just wanting to put groceries on your table, if you're wanting that little extra income to put your kids through sports, school, whatever it is, you can do whatever you want to with this business. You can start off like me, who was just really just excited about sharing the products until I caught the vision. I was like, well, then I want to get my products paid for. And now this is our main income for my family. It is possible to do whatever you want to from wherever you want to, whether it be your car, an airplane, a ball field, whatever you want to do, the possibilities are endless. And these two ladies are examples of that. Our stories just go back lots of years, and we are now doing it in different ways. Our stories look a little different, but we're doing it in different ways, but we're still very much tied to the same thing, and that is baseball. So I want to lead to Sarah. Sarah, I want you to start off by telling us a little bit about like your story with your husband, and like we'll get into the business in a second.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me tonight. A little disclaimer, Mama can only run from her children's germs. So I have it, but I promise I sound worse than I feel. So bear with me. Um, I about 5-6 years ago now, Kelly, right? Yeah, that long ago. Um, I started seeing Kelly post online, and I sort of similar, thought maybe she bumped her head, wasn't sure, thought like, this Kelly, my friend, like this my lawyer friend, she got into this business, like, what is she doing? But I found myself watching her post, and I felt like everything that she was saying, she was writing to me. And I think one of those reasons was just I was pregnant with my second. Again, similar. I had my first baby, struggled with some postpartum issues. And so that second time around, I was really thinking, like, what can I do different to ensure that it will be different this go around? So that's kind of where I started with the products. The business too, we'll get into, but currently, let's talk a little bit about baseball. It's in our blood too. My husband played professionally for about 15, 16 years, I think. I think. Ah, don't tell. Don't tell him I don't know that stat. Um, Sorry about that. He went right from playing to coaching. So he is now the manager for the Lancaster Barnstormers, which is in the Atlantic League, a professional baseball league. And he's in his 5th year. Um, it's a marathon. When it's baseball season, it's a marathon. We go from, um, he started spring training in April. Then he started his season 10 days in North Carolina, came home for a 3-day homestand, an off day, and then left again for another week. And that's what this life is. It's a constant in and out. And so it's juggling really for me. And we have 3 kids, 7, 5, and 3 years old. And so, what the rest of us do when Ross is in and out, I homeschool my oldest to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then on Tuesday and Thursday, they go on campus. So, it's part of the program that they are in right now. And so, it's just a lot. We were at the ball field tonight, not at the Barnstormers, but my oldest is playing. So he had a makeup game tonight and, get home and get everybody into bed and then get all the things ready for they're going to school tomorrow. So it's busy, but it's what we know. And each season seems a little bit different at their ages. They handle it differently, they're affected differently. But one thing that I have appreciated about the business is that it has allowed me the freedom to be here when Ross is not. He is in and out, and I get to be that foundation, that slow and steady. The baseball lifestyle, if I'm talking to other wives and moms here, it's again disruptive at times. And so to be able to be at home and be here for all the things for my kids, and then also have this business that I can, you know, add income to our family. I mean, it's the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Yeah, because Sarah, tell them like you worked full time before.
I did. I
And
was a school counselor before starting a family. Now, I always knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That was always the desire of my heart. And when we had Levi, I knew I was not going back at that time. And again, that's what I want to do. And still, even though wife and mom are still that like the titles that I hold highest, in my regard, it plexus allows me to have something other than those titles, so I can still use my counseling skills in some ways. Like really, it was coming alongside people who wanted to be at a different place. I'm doing the same thing. I'm coming alongside people who want to be in a different place, to move forward, to see changes in their lives. So this is lifestyle. This is not just like take a magic pill and your life is different overnight. This is good conversations about being healthier. So I also like that I'm wife and mommy first, but then I also have this, which fuels my passion and purpose too.
I love that you pointed this out because I think that is so key for so many of us, like that when you're living the mom life, which of course is a calling and
Mhm.
it's the hardest job you'll ever do, but it's also good to have something outside of that that you can focus on as well. It helps maintain some kind of self, I don't know
Yes.
like what it is, but identity outside of
Yes.
just living solely for your family. And I'd
Yes.
love for you to tell them a little bit about Like, how do you do that with the baseball lifestyle? Like, what does that look like for you?
So it's a little unique for us because we are blessed with the opportunity to live where Ross coaches. So that's not the case for a lot of women and families who travel with their husbands. Our kids, as I mentioned, they're a little younger right now, so we don't always go on road trips. Like, we stay rooted in our home, and so um, it might look different if we did travel with him. But again, we're here. So for me, working looks like when Ross is on the road, when like right now, I think they actually had a decent game tonight, so he'll be home shortly. But a lot of times, he's not getting home till 11 o'clock midnight. So when my kids go to bed and I have that downtime, I'm checking in with people. I'm talking to my team and the relationships that I've built. So it looks different in different seasons. Now in the off season, it looks different too. But during the baseball season, I have those windows of time that I can really pour into this business.
I think my last question for you, I think you bring up another really good point about working this in the pockets of time. Like, you are one of the most committed mothers I've ever met. Truly. She's a rock star, y'all. But you have done a really amazing job of balancing, like focusing on your kids, your homeschooling, which is incredible, but you're able to focus on the business, like on the schedule that you dictate. And I think, just quickly, I want you to touch on that. Like, you get to decide what your schedule is here. Like, you don't have a boss, you don't answer to anybody.
Right.
Like, tell the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think I want to mention one thing too that comes to my heart, and I wouldn't necessarily promote this as the best business model, but I think it's important to know, like, something that's so unique about this opportunity. My family went through a very challenging time a year and a half ago, and I had to step away a little bit, and um I didn't continue growing as I wanted, but I still was able to earn from what I had built. And I didn't have to ask time off from a boss. I didn't have to, um, you know, quit my job. I stepped back, and that was something that I had to do for my family. And again, I wouldn't recommend this as far as growing a business because I wasn't growing, but I was maintaining, and it was something that helped us um, for where we were at in our struggle.
Huge. Yeah, it's huge.
That's huge. So, but aside from that, I wanted to just add that that's kind of, when you were asking the question, that's what came to my heart. But aside from that, the time is, I want to be consistent, but that doesn't always look like the same time. Right. So I can choose, if I'm looking ahead at what the week will look like. Again, is that what you're kind of asking with the schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm looking ahead at the week and I know Ross will be home for those days, well, then I'm going to spend my time with my family. We're going to do what we need to do as a family. And then, like I said, it would be that night. It will be a 9:30 call. It will be, checking in with the team that I have and the customers that my loyal customers and that kind of stuff. So we're writing content.
That's it. I mean, I'd like to tie in Keisha into this too, because like this is so important. She's really good at customer care too, but like it's just loving on people, but you get to dictate the time and the schedule. And I think really what you just said was very, very important. Residual income, especially after the last 2 years that we've all gone through together. Definitely. When so many people got laid off and there was no guarantee of income, residual income is this is so beautiful. This business model is so incredible, because if there is a time that you have to step away, like what you have built, like if you were in a typical job in traditional working America, you get laid off. If you have to take time, like that kind of time off, you're not going to get the paycheck. And even if you don't get laid off, your paycheck's going to be cut off. But that's not the case with this residual income. And that is such a key. So thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Moving on to, let's talk to Keisha next too, who is very much a part of mine and Sarah's story as well, because our husbands, again, like I said, played together. Keisha, I'd like for you to go ahead and come in. I want to tell you a little bit about her. She is pretty brand new to this business, which is incredible. She just became a brand ambassador in March and went Fast Start Gold in 30 days, y'all, which is unbelievable. She has shared this business opportunity and the products with so many people because of her own health testimony, which she's going to get to. So, Keisha, you're a little bit of a different story because you're not a stay-at-home mom. You are a working professional, and I want you to tell. This is why this is so beautiful to hear all these different stories, y'all, because people think with network marketing that you look like the same person, you have the same story, you have the same background. That is not the case, right? And I think all three of us are really prime examples of that. Sarah's now staying at home after working full time. I've gone back to working part time, staying at home part time, and Keisha's still working full time. So let's talk about like your background, and then I want you to talk about Les a little bit too.
Yeah. So I think that I was just thinking that when you guys were talking, how awesome it is that we kind of have similar stories, but also very different stories in this business. Just to kind of go back a little bit and talk about how I ended up ordering plexus products. I too was watching Sarah and Kelly post on Facebook and talk about these products all the time. And I am also a skeptic. So I was like, what are they talking about? These supplements they're taking. I know Kelly, I know Sarah, like what's going on? But I was struggling in my own health, physically and emotionally and mentally. I was having a hard time. I mean, just to be transparent, I had a terrible bout with postpartum depression after my second child almost 6 years ago, and refused to take medication that was offered to me for a variety of reasons. I just was nervous about it and very scared about it. And so I suffered literally for the last 6 years. I really did. And it was impacting me in a lot of ways. It impacted my work, it impacted my marriage, it impacted the kind of mother that I wanted to be. And so finally, about 6 months ago, I was just like, no more. Like, I've got to try something. And I did talk to my husband Les about it. I was like, Kelly keeps talking about these products on Facebook. Maybe I should try them. And he had hit a brick wall too. So he was like, you need to call her. And so I did. I reached out and placed my first order in December. And a few weeks after taking the products, I immediately began to feel different. Just my gut health changed. I mean, I used to eat, everything I ate made me uncomfortable, everything. I would get up from the table and go, why did I even eat that? Like, I feel terrible right now. I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of just stress. And I just noticed that those things were starting to ease. And I think it had a lot to do with the products that I was taking. So I just started telling people about it. Like, well, let me say this. I did not immediately start telling people about it because the skeptic in me, I was like, let me take this for a while and see if this is really what I think it is, if this is really having the impact that I think it's having. So I actually took the products for almost 90 days before I mentioned it to anyone. And Kelly encouraged me to share my story, and I did. And I have a very close-knit circle of girlfriends, and they all reached out and said, what is it that you just posted on Facebook, and why haven't you told us about it? So I started sharing how I was feeling and the impact that it was having on my mental and physical health, and people wanted to hear more. And so those that were closest to me, who were also struggling with some of the same things I was struggling with, because the honest truth is, most of the time when you talk to other moms, we all have similar struggles, right? We're all saying we're exhausted, we're tired, we don't feel good, we're anxious, we're depressed. We're using all of those adjectives to describe ourselves. So all of these people started contacting me about what I was sharing. And I think that's how that Fast Start Gold happened so quickly. And I'm excited about that. But anyway, that's how I was introduced to the products and how I started taking them back in December. And I'm so grateful and thankful for that. Just to tell you a little bit about my husband and our life. I think these two women are incredible. Their stories are a little different from mine because I met Les later in his career. He was actually on his way out of professional baseball in terms of playing the sport. And that was probably best for us because I'm not sure I would have survived the lifestyle the way you guys have. Like, you all are amazing. But I did meet him later. and he played 16 years professional baseball. He had a really awesome career. And then immediately after that went into being a scout, which, you know, if anybody knows anything about scouting, it's just as
Yeah, I mean,
rigorous.
he had a huge career in the major leagues. Like he was, I mean, Les was a big deal.
Well, he wants to be a big deal.
Yeah, right. All of our husbands want to be a big deal.
Yeah, but no, he did. He really had a great career. I met him towards the end of that, and after he retired from a plane, he became a scout and was still traveling a whole lot. And we had our first child, and I was home. I call it solo mama, Kelly. That's what I call it. I was a solo mom. I wasn't a single mom because I had a loving, wonderful husband. He just wasn't home very much. So I had to be a solo mom most of the time. And that was hard. That was hard on us. So let me tell you what, I was thinking about this earlier today. What this business is doing for us, we're kind of in a different season of our lives with baseball and what we're doing. What this is doing for us is Les is actually getting to do what he really wants to do in baseball in this season of his life because we're older. He is working with he does a lot of private baseball lessons and trains kids and just loves that. But y'all, that doesn't pay a whole lot of money. It just doesn't, right? And so this what I'm doing along with my professional career is supplementing our household income and allowing him to do that and not be stressed out about the money.
Yeah.
And that brings me a whole lot of joy because he loves what he's doing, but he also doesn't have to worry about whether or not we're going to be able to make ends meet and live the lifestyle that we like to live. So
add on top of that, though, you're also your boys are both playing baseball now.
yes.
So you
Yes.
get to experience the baseball field in a different way.
Yeah.
Rather than as a spouse, you're getting to go as their mom. So tell us about how you're integrating the business. Also, because I think a lot of people that are going to watch this, probably 99% of them are going to be baseball moms rather than baseball wives. And so tell us about how, because we all know that whether our husbands are coaching or our kids are playing, especially like little league, is like professional baseball. It takes up so much time, right?
It takes up so much time. Yeah.
Our 8-year-old about how you're working this business. Like, cause I mean, when you started, you just took off because like you were sharing from an authentic place, very much like Sarah did, like just from this truthful, authentic place of wanting to do this the way that was going to honor yourself and like do it the way you were going to be proud of. So like, tell us how you're doing that from the baseball field while supporting your boys too.
When you're just sitting there and people want to know what you're doing, right? They want to know why you look so great. Honestly, they're looking like, girl, you look like you've lost 10 pounds, or seriously. I mean, people are asking those questions. You know how we do, right? And so you get an opportunity to talk about these products. And I love it. Like, I love being able to say, well, let me tell you. I mean, 6 months ago, I literally was almost 20 pounds heavier. That is the truth. I mean, I've lost 17 pounds in 5 months. And so I get to talk about the products and they want to know more about it, and I'm sharing, and that it just explodes, right? And you have one mom asking you another question, and that mom sharing what you've shared with her with another mom. And before you know it, instead of watching the baseball game, you're talking about plexus, the pink drink, right? Not to mention, I always have it with me, seriously. Like I have active and a pink drink all the time because you're right. Grayson has 4 baseball games this week.
Yeah.
So I'm on the baseball field consistently, either at practice or watching a game. So that's how that happens.
What I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I hear you saying is like, this is really streamlined kind of seamlessly into your life. Like you're not having to force, like, it's not like putting a square peg in a round hole. You are just walking out your journey and bringing people along with you as you go. So you work a full-time job. Tell them a little bit about your professional background quickly, because I know like we're keeping people here, but I could talk to you and Sarah all night. So sorry, all. You're just getting to hear our normal conversation. But like, tell them about how you are working full-time. And so tell them about how this has kind of worked with your work as well. Like you're able to do both.
Yeah. So I spent 20 years in public education, 13 as a school principal. And now I am a college professor and I work in educational leadership. So I get to teach and train aspiring school leaders. I teach master's level and doctoral level students who want to do what I did for so long. And so it's, it's my dream job and I love my job. Like I did not become a brand ambassador because I was looking to leave my job. I really do love what I do. But the great part is that I get to do that and I get to do plexus all at the same time. And I really don't feel like I'm having to sacrifice either. I am actually in Orange Beach, Alabama right now for work. I know that's a terrible place to be for work, but
Right.
I'm here at a beach resort for a conference. And I was laying on the beach this afternoon, waiting for the conference to start, on Facebook posting about the pink drink that I was drinking, laying on the beach, literally. I mean, I was I'm doing both. Like I was sitting there doing that and sharing my story while I'm here working. It's just that simple. I don't really feel like I'm having to make a whole lot of sacrifices either way.
That's awesome. Okay. Any other thoughts? One thing I would like for you to touch on before we close out is what attracted you, because you are so busy. Like what attracted you to the business? Because you could have just been taking your products, going on as normal. And like what attracted you to work this business when you already have so much on your plate?
Honestly, I wanted to help people. That is the honest truth. Like I said, I am constantly in conversation with other moms and other women who are all saying the same thing. And so when these products helped me, when they started helping me, I was like, I have to tell people about this because I can help someone else by sharing this opportunity with them. So that was my initial reason for doing that. Everything else was kind of secondary for me, like the additional income that was secondary. And that's been a blessing the last couple of months, and I'm looking forward to that as well. But it really is just helping other people.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what Sarah said too, like integrating her counseling background. She's like, it's the same thing. I still get to help people. It's just in a different form. I feel that way too. Now that I'm also a professor at a university, from practicing law, like I thought I was going to lose part of my identity when I left that. But the way that it shifted seamlessly into this, which sounds so bizarre, thinking about like being a prosecutor into like talking about health supplements, it's really not. My goal for when I was practicing law was to help people. My goal is still to help people. And it's the same thing for you and Sarah as well. And I think that's so important because just because we're moms, just because we have jobs, don't have jobs, whatever that looks like, we are still individuals who still need purpose and, strive to have that. Like even our kids obviously are our purpose, but like to have something also that we can connect to outside of that, just to have grown-up conversations every now and then is good too, right? Sometimes having talks with people that are not toddlers is edifying. So, just keeping that. So I thank you both. I love you. I love you both dearly. I'm so thankful that y'all shared this time with us. I'm thankful for the people that joined us tonight and that will see the recording of this. We are here. If you have any questions, I love questions. Actually, I love it when people bring me, I love skeptics. Lisa said it earlier, skeptics make the best brand ambassadors because they become the believers, and they have it's been proven to them after they've really looked at it through a skeptical lens. So bring your questions to us. We're thankful for your time tonight. And thank you, Keisha and Sarah. All right. We'll be seeing y'all. Have a good night.